a hangover isn't really indicative of alcoholism, but it's an early sign of the body's struggle processing something that's addictive.
Yeah.
So that's really what a hangover is the first indicator that you're abusing a substance in excess.
Welcome to the FocalFlip podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the FocalFlip podcast. John McNeely back with me again. Very grateful for the text messages, the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, all those different things. Very, very cool. It gives us a little bit of validation that, what we're doing is right. And we'll stick with that. So we love you guys for that. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Today, I want to get into something that's going to be interesting. It's called withdrawals. And they're scary. My experience with withdrawals was bad. When it first happened to me, so folks, what I'm going to tell you and kind of talk to you about with withdrawals, I'm specifically speaking on any kind of substance use, alcohol use, that moment when your body has become dependent upon the alcohol or the drug. When it's become dependent on that and then you take it away from the body reacts.
Badly.
Real bad. So I can tell you guys, and John's going to walk us into kind of some of the pieces of, how are the first signs to see if you're going to be an alcoholic or if you're going to have withdrawals. So John?
Well, one of the things that most people don't realize is that even a basic hangover is a sign of physical withdrawal. We when we drink or do drugs, we bombard the brain with dopamine. Mm-hmm. And the next morning, once that metabolizes through the bloodstream and is removed from the brain, that those dopamine receptors are all vacant. Mm-hmm. And that's what really causes the physical discomfort of a hangover. I mean, you feel sick, you may have a headache, you're lethargic, the basic symptoms of a hangover. And the more you drink, the greater those symptoms become.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I know with symptoms, with a hangover, see, I think of it differently. I don't know. You talk about being a hangover as the first sign. And my natural mind when you said that was, I have a lot of friends we all get hangovers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of my friends get hangovers, and they're not alcoholic.
Sure, definitely.
They can go out and hang with everybody, and we'll all be hanging together, and they'll drink like crazy. And they may have a hangover, but they're cool. They don't have to drink for the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So I don't. It's that part's tough for people to understand. It was for me at first.
Alcoholism is a progressive disease, and it's really quite simple. Use leads to abuse, leads to addiction.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So when you're talking about hangovers, you're in the stage of use.
Yeah,
and possibly abuse, at that point.
Yeah.
So a hangover isn't really indicative of alcoholism, but it's an early sign of the body's struggle processing something that's addictive.
Yeah.
So that's really what a hangover is the first indicator that you're abusing a substance in excess.
Yeah. Hangovers suck.
Yeah.
Awful. I was so unproductive on Sundays.
Yeah, my hangovers at times would last 2-3 days.
Dude,
I mean, this is
brutal, man.
This is horrible. But I remember waking up with such a horrible hangover that my tongue was actually stuck to the roof of my mouth.
Woo,
because of severe dehydration of drinking so much alcohol. Yeah, 2-3 day hangovers. Yeah.
How much would you drink in a sitting?
Oh my God! I mean, I had the tolerance. As it progressed, I had the tolerance of a rhinoceros.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
You did.
I'm ashamed to even tell you. I mean, $300, $400 bar tabs were not uncommon.
Okay, that's all you gotta say,
if
buddy.
that gives you any idea.
Yeah, we've all had those. We've had those.
Yeah.
Man. So the storm of withdrawal. So what I have learned from withdrawals, you first find out that it's a physical reaction, right? And that's when it really alarms you and tells you something's wrong, something's up.
Right.
Naturally, for me, I was so scared of saying, hey, I think I've got a problem that I didn't want to tell anybody, and I was just trapped in my head. And then the withdrawals become worse, where I'm being more anxious. My blood pressure is even higher. And then I'm walking out to like, all right, man, I just need to get a drink real quick.
Right.
And just that one drink, that sip, to be completely real, I feel cool. I feel fine.
Right.
Just that one drink takes the withdrawal away.
And here's where it starts to get more
frustrating.
Starts to get more complex. Like I said, alcoholism is defined as a physical addiction coupled with a mental obsession.
Yeah.
So now the mind starts to enter the process of obsessing on your alcohol abuse. I need to have one in the morning. I need to make sure I have something in the morning so that I can process my day.
Yeah, like you're planning ahead.
And it starts to become a major part of your thought process obsessively.
Yeah.
How do I feel? Am I going to need to drink? Should I drink before the event? What should I eat? And it just becomes an obsession.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. You literally have to plan out whatever you're going to drink because let's say you're going to a place that doesn't allow alcohol or something.
Right.
Like you're literally thinking about how much alcohol you need to get into yourself before said event.
So you can function. Yeah.
And then some of these folks can function very high level.
Sure.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. But then a lot of their thought process comes into how to control their drinking. And if you have to control something, it's out of control.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact, Jack.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Man. So what I know, and we'll get into some of my notes here. I'm going to look on this because there's a ton that go into withdrawals, and I'm actually going to get into a few of the technical terms of it as well. So one of the things is hyperexcitability, your central nervous system. So alcohol is a depressant, right? Mm-hmm. So with that depressant, it slows down the central nervous system. So when somebody who is dependent on alcohol suddenly quits drinking, chaos starts. Called hyperexcitability. I got it right here. And that leads to symptoms just like anxiety,
irritability,
insomnia, tremors, seizures, all that kind of stuff. And it's so true.
Yeah.
That whole CNS system just completely just off kilter. It just doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And it's reacting like crazy in so many different manners.
Yep.
So I don't know what this next one is, though. It was on dysregulation. Do you know what that is?
Dysregulation.
Here comes the comments on our episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here's what it is. The autonomic nervous system controls involuntary functions like heart rate, blood pressure, and sweating. During alcohol withdrawal, the system can become dysregulated, causing symptoms like increased heart rate, high blood pressure, and excessive sweating.
That makes sense.
Bruh. I sweated so bad.
Yeah.
I was a sweaty mess.
It was the same with opiate addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I sweated worse with alcohol, but that was also when I was 370 pounds.
Yeah. Again, alcohol is a drug. So when we talk about and compare alcoholism and addiction, they all hit the same centers of the brain, and they all have the same, symptoms, physical symptoms.
Yeah. That's tons of physical symptoms that go with it. What about the psychological symptoms?
Ooh, now
that's your wheelhouse, and I know you're chomping at the bit.
You're
just sitting back like, come on, Mike, stop talking. I want to talk.
No, but here's where it gets complex. Is once the physical, or once the mental obsession develops, it can intensify the physical symptoms. Now, I'm going to give you an example of that with opiate addiction. I remember multiple occasions where I was on the couch rocking back and forth thinking I was going to die. Just an incredible sensation, and if I would get a phone call that someone had the drug that I needed, immediately I would jump up off the couch. I would feel fine where I couldn't even move before.
Because you were elated.
I was elated. The physical, the psychology of that is that, I would get that phone call. I would get up, jump up, drive, no problem. Whereas 3 minutes before, I thought I was going to die. So explain that to me. To explain how the psychology of realizing you're going to get what the body's craving.
Yeah, it's amazing how all of a sudden you get the phone call that the drug of choice that you are currently using is available,
right.
And you're like, you just, oh, thank goodness, thank you. Isn't that crazy?
And the withdrawal symptoms immediately dissipate.
Explain that.
I mean, it just tells you the power of the psyche evolved in magnifying pain and discomfort.
Yeah, totally. Interesting stuff, man. Oh, here we go. The hallucinations, mood swings, confusion. I had hallucinations.
Really?
Not visually, sound.
Audio, yeah.
Yeah. I remember specifically laying on a couch and trying to dry out myself. And the next thing you know, I heard like a ringtone on the phone. And at the time, it was like the current ringtone of the one I had set, right? But I heard it going off everywhere else, but my phone was right there. And I literally went through everywhere. It was like turning everything inside out. And I never understood. And actually, I didn't find out that that's what was going on until after I was sober for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I have heard that the depths of alcoholism can get incredibly ugly, hallucinations and all types of things. I personally have never experienced that. I experienced alcoholism, but I never got that mental obsession. When I drank, I couldn't stop. Clinically, I was an alcoholic, but the mental obsession really came with the drug addiction, the depths of that.
Yeah. I remember going to behavioral health center, and it took every bit of medicine that they had because I was susceptible to seizure. So I'll never forget it. But like the DTs coupled with those sound hallucinations, coupled with everything, man. I think they had to walk me in there.
I think it's safe to say that if you're experiencing hallucinations, severe shakes, and certainly alcoholic seizures when you try to stop, you definitely need a medicated treatment.
Absolutely.
This is incredibly dangerous trying to do this at home on your own.
And I'm getting ready to get to that part, because it is.
It is.
And literally, this is my segue into this piece because there's so many things that come with it. That's the big thing that I want to touch on is the dangers of trying to like detox yourself. So in my story, I had some opiate phase and I also had my alcohol phase. Opiate phase, that was bad. Alcohol phase, that was worse than bad.
Yeah.
That was absolutely awful. Some of the things that I experienced in there with those DTs, I couldn't have done it on my own. I would have died on the couch.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. And then when I went in there, they had to pump me full of all these different types of medicines and keep me on them for several days and then wean me off of them because I was just a shell of myself.
Sure.
I was a hollow shell of myself. And that's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. When I withdrew off of opiates, I was in jail. Let's just put it out there. I was in jail as I detoxed, and I was in the medical unit, and I didn't eat for 2 weeks. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. I had gastral problems for 28 days.
Oh, yeah, gastrointestinal.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and this is really the difficulty of addiction and alcoholism is the physical symptoms of withdrawal are insidious. I mean, but when you couple that with mental obsession, knowing that going back to drugs or alcohol will take all this brutality of pain away. It's for the vast majority of people, they cannot endure it. And that's why, in my opinion, that the best chance of recovery is with a long-term treatment program. Especially if you've reached the levels of chronic addiction where you're having shakes and, DTs and, it's just the only way to get through it.
Yeah, it is. I'm such a big advocate for treatment.
Absolutely.
I'm a big advocate for long-term treatment, especially for those that definitely need it.
I mean, it increases your success rate exponentially.
Yeah, I'm all for all that treatment. And that's what we'll get ready to kind of end this stuff by telling and saying that if you start to experience things like withdrawal symptoms, shakes, anxiety, depression, stomach, nausea, all these, sweating, high blood pressure, increased heart rate, all these, there's so many different things. If you start to experience those kind of things, keep it in mind. It doesn't mean that you're an alcoholic or anything like that, but it's something to be extremely mindful of because there's a slippery slope that can get to addiction and alcoholism, and you may not know you're on it.
Right.
You may not know you're on it, and then it'll hit you, and it scares you to death. So, real quick, I know you're getting ready to go into something. Treatment. It's not as bad as it is made out to be. If you are in there and you literally open your mind up and you start working with people that's in there, it's amazing what all can happen just by getting in there. Number one, they're going to keep you healthy and keep you from dying or getting extremely sick because they medically treat you. Mm-hmm. Number two, you're getting therapy, multiple forms of therapy, and program work, right?
Here's the dilemma that most people face is that when you're in the middle of a chronic addiction or alcoholism, your mind will give you every excuse why you don't want to go to treatment.
Yeah.
You'll start rationalizing and justifying, I can't take time off work. I've got other issues I have to deal with right now. I have to do this. I have to do this. And the problem with that mentality, which is common, in alcoholism and addiction, the problem with it is that alcoholism and addiction is a progressive disease.
Yeah, it is.
Whatever you're facing at the moment is only going to get worse. The physical symptoms, the physical dependency, the mental obsession, the consequences, and not to mention the guilt, the shame, all of the emotions that go along with it. And it's almost imperative that you take action because if you don't, it progresses to the point where you feel that life's not worth living. Mm-hmm. And if you get to the point where you feel life's not worth living and that you're hopeless and that there's no way out, that's when it really gets dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when, quite frankly, to put it bluntly, your life is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to a simple decision. Do I want to live or do I want to die? Mm-hmm. And the problem with that very basic question is that when your mind is consumed with chronic alcoholism and addiction, you get to the point where you don't even care. Mm. And that is the bleakness and the insidiousness of this disease.
Yeah. I've been sitting here thinking as you're talking about the progressive illness. It is a progressive illness.
Yeah.
Eventually, we get to the point to where we become allergic to alcohol. We can't put alcohol in our system at all.
Right.
And I'll tell you how progressive this illness is for those who do not know, for those who are not familiar with program work or Alcoholics Anonymous, other different programs. For those of you who are not familiar with progressive illness, right now I have a few years of sobriety. Okay. Tomorrow, if I were to go and drink a beer, okay, and then I go back to drinking as heavily as I did before, my withdrawal and all that will be much worse each time. Because this illness is progressive each time.
And
it just continues to grow even when you have sobriety.
And that's the amazing part of this disease, is that it really alters your brain chemistry and your neural pathways. So all of those pathways in recovery become dormant. But if you start drinking and doing drugs again, they light up like a Christmas tree, and you are right back where you were when you stopped.
Yeah, and then you're asking yourself why. Yeah. And then you're sad. And you're full of guilt, shame, and remorse all over again.
And in a worse position than you were before, because now you're humiliated and don't want to go back to recovery and face all the, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, that'll get us rolling right into different types of stigmas, man.
Absolutely.
So for everybody out there... if you need help, if you need anything, on my FocalFlip Instagram page, I'm going to actually put all the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati resources in my stories, so people will be able to go there, and you can seek any kind of mental health advice. You can contact me, John, any of us here with FocalFlip, and we'll kind of help point you in the right direction, because we're completely neutral, we're completely unbiased. We're aware of what it takes to get healthy, and it's a multifaceted form of treatment. It has to come from everything. It's a full amount of inner work. If you get sick and stuff, or you might think you're alcoholic, or you might think you're an addict, that's the first piece of maybe awareness, And if not, give some people a call. There's a lot of us that are out there.
With me, when I was in the depths of addiction, I truly believed there was no way out. I mean, it was hopeless. Yeah, There's no way out. And I made myself believe that, because I believed that there was no way out.
Yeah.
But the truth is that there is a solution.
Yes, sir.
There is a way out. And not only is there a way out from alcoholism and addiction, there's a way out from all the misery and suffering and self-manufactured misery that led you to addiction. Yeah. There's life after addiction. There's a life after addiction that I did not imagine.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It can be beautiful.
It can be beautiful, he said.
Right.
It is.
It is.
I have enjoyed, literally, I can be in the midst of having nothing and have joy now.
Sure.
I never really, I just love people, and everybody who knows me knows I just love people. But now I'm experiencing true joy, and it's an awesome experience, because I look at people differently and I think of things differently. My spirituality is amazing. It's grown stronger than it's ever been, because it's a walk now. We got to get into solution stuff.
Right.
But I thought withdrawal was important, because
absolutely,
some folks may not know. And you may be addicted to this beast. Give us a call. Give any of these treatment centers a call. Text me, email us, any of that, and we can help show you what to do. I'll give you my cheat code, all right? But everybody's life is different.
Sure.
Okay? I had to go to treatment because I was very, very sick, and even when I went to treatment, I ended up relapsing eventually and then having to go back to treatment. Mm-hmm. So what you'll find is that when you get into really bad situations, you get very, very sick, you'll end up back at treatment anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, go to treatment. There's a lot of good ones out there. Right. When you do, just keep an open mind. You're not as bad of a person as you think you are. You suffer from things that are just beyond your control at this point.
Right.
So treatment. From treatment, I ended up just getting in with sponsors and going to AA meetings and going to church meetings and I literally did everything. Right. I had to do everything because I didn't understand me. I needed other people to help me understand me.
And that's really the answer. We're suffering from things we don't understand.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand them, there is no solution.
Right.
You know?
Right. And it just ends up coming down. And like this show, we really hone in on the mental piece clearly. You know, I'm always going to say my spirituality.
It's a part of it.
Dude, it's so incredible. It's so strong. And I'm so happy with that. Like, It's like a different type of walk. You know, I have joy and I just have peace. And like all of a sudden, I don't have to control or manipulate things.
Right.
I can literally retract whenever I need to and just say, this isn't mine.
Spirituality is a deep part of our psychology.
Yeah. It's awesome. And it can be complex too. You know,
that's just as complex.
Yes. But
and
it's
personal.
Right. But it's not. One of the things we learn on this and we'll teach on this show is everything gets simplified.
It does.
We just simplify it down. We revolutionize the way we talk about this thing, and we'll show you how it works.
Does it get simpler, or does our clarity increase?
Ooh, hit like, hit subscribe. John, final words. That was the segue. You're good at the segues. Any final words, buddy?
No, that's good.
Cool. What are we going to run back next time?
I don't know.
Probably, who knows?
Waiting to dive into spirituality.
I love spirituality.
Yeah.
I just don't want people to get all like...
And I'll tell you what, that is amazing.
Like, I'm big on my spirituality.
That is amazing.
My faith.
Coming out of my mouth. When you looked at how I've lived my entire life.
I know. I love this. Man, maybe we should. Maybe that should be the next one. Because, can I give them a hint?
Go ahead.
Can I?
Sure.
John was an atheist.
Yeah. Not only just an atheist, but a real rude, condescending atheist who loved nothing more than to tell you the reasons why the universe needed no design with intent.
Ooh.
You know,
that's why you were so daggone dark.
Yeah.
Shoot.
And if you asked me what spirituality was, I would have told you belief in the supernatural.
Yeah.
I just had no concept of what spirituality was.
All right. Well, let's do that. Let's do that on the next episode.
Yeah, we could do that.
You want to? All right, brother. Peace, y'all. Hit like, hit subscribe. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. If you need help, give us a call here at FocalFlip. Email us, like, subscribe, check out our pages. We've got some reels and shorts coming out too. If you like our content, let us know because we love to be able to learn and grow from that. So with that said, that's it. We're heading out.
Peace.
Okay, you ready to wrap this thing up?
If you like FocalFlip's videos, my dad's videos, go to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and like and subscribe to be updated.
I love it.